How schools will operate this fall is a question on every parent's mind right now. Joining me to offer her perspective is the chair of the Senate Education Committee, Senator Carla Nelson. Thanks for being here.
It's good to be here, Shannon.
So Governor Walz is expected to announce later this month how schools will operate this fall. What do you think the approach should be?
Well, I think he's late in announcing, but more importantly, I think the question is, why is this so important? Obviously, it's important for our students' health. We know the American Academy of Pediatrics has recently come out and spoken about how important this is for students' health, whether it be mental health, not having isolation, certainly the educational aspect, nutrition, all of those things. Of course, and we're also finding that the health of others has not been impacted either by countries that have opened up their schools. We're finding that the virus is not as effective or does not infect children, or nor are they infectious as much as what maybe was originally thought. And I think the one thing that also is on people's minds is economic stability. About 1/3 of our workforce is parents who have minor children. And these parents, and if we're going to see them go back to work, they have to know about childcare and school. And I just got notices today from businesses that are having a difficult time with employees knowing how to plan for their next month's schedule. Are they hiring childcare or nannies 1 week at a time? What does that look like? So that's a problem. And then, of course, parents want that too.
So do you think it should be a statewide mandate, or do you think it should be left up to local districts to decide for themselves how to proceed?
Oh, definitely. This needs to be a local decision. It is impossible for one person in St. Paul to know the conditions on the ground all across the state, 300 school districts, 100 charter schools, all corners of our state, to know what the risks are, how to mitigate those, what the needs are, what the resources are, and that's why it needs to be a locally determined decision. I do not think the governor should be making this decision.
In that case, what about liability? What if a small school district in, greater Minnesota opens, but it leads to the unintended consequences of several grandparents falling ill and perhaps dying? Not that you could necessarily trace it to the school, but the chances of the spread are much greater.
And that is where schools most locally can determine how to minimize the spread, whether it be only a portion of kids coming to school on Monday and Tuesday and another portion on Wednesday and Thursday, maybe some extra help on Friday. How that happens can best be determined at the local level. We could be having schools that are renting small storefronts, open storefronts that are, maybe the businesses aren't in there, but perhaps it could be like a one-room schoolhouse. We could have a lot of flexibility and creativity to keep kids safe, because parents, 64% of parents, 94% of them want their kids back in school full-time, but they want it to be safe. You have to do both. Have your kids there physically, but also have it safe, and that requires that local decision and those local use of resources.
So in terms of following safety guidelines, generally that does mean social distancing. And so if schools do have sort of an individual approach, there's still potentially a lack of funds. If we do social distancing on buses, does that mean more buses? If we do social distancing in the classroom, does that mean smaller classrooms, more teachers? What about the funding ramifications of some of these decisions?
Well, I think that's on the top of everyone's mind. Things are going to be more costly because of transportation, increased cleaning, those type of things. But I also think it gives us an opportunity to do things in an innovative way and do things differently. So again, local decisions, innovation. When it comes to funding, we know that the federal government is really looking at this as well. Already they have sent $500 million about for education to the state of Minnesota. There are discussions out in DC of additional funding to help our schools open safely. And I think that will be needed. Unfortunately, our states do not have money. We're most likely going to be coming back into session with a significant deficit. Unlike the federal government, we must live with a balanced budget, which, by the way, I think is a good thing. But that means we are going to be looking at the federal government for help in allowing our schools to have the resources to open for physical presence of our students in a safe manner.
Now, there's also the issue of disparities, because it has been shown that the students who have lower achievement are also those who don't have the home structure that would lend itself to learning at home. Also, they maybe don't have the technology to even get the work done. Does getting them back in the classroom, despite safety concerns, is that the right move then?
Well, I think it has to be with safety concerns. I don't know that anyone would want their children to go back into a classroom if it wasn't safe. So we can do that safely. We must do that safely. So it's not in spite of, but I will say this, pandemics exacerbate trends. And so we were seeing a trend where we were having children that had disparities in educational outcomes. And that has, I believe, been magnified under the governor's executive order to go to distance learning. And let me say, I tip my hat to our teachers to think that they were tasked with 8 days to prepare 3 months of education, K through 12, to go to distance learning in 8 days. That is an impossible task. And we should not be surprised that, according to many, it did not turn out so well. And now we have to regroup, make sure that our kids get the education that they need, all of our kids, and that they have the resources to do that. And I think it will be a blended learning, hybrid learning, and it will be in the classroom as well, of course. So we need to get those resources to the kids, and we should build upon what we've learned through this distance learning experiment.
What about teachers? Then they're required to go back in the classroom. Let's say they have an underlying health condition, or they're more further down the age range. They're closer to retirement.
Sure.
What if they leave, or what if they don't feel safe? What outside of retirement do they have an option?
Well, I think certainly you cannot make somebody continue on in a job if they don't want to, or if they don't feel safe, or they don't think it's in their best interest, or their health concerns. So I believe that is something that not just our schools will need to cross, but all across our state as things begin to open up and open up safely. How is that going to impact workers? And also, what if the customers don't come back?
My next question is like parents. Let's say the parents are uncomfortable putting their children back in the school. Is there an exemption for them?
Yes, there always is an exemption for parents. Parents can homeschool their children. They can put them in a smaller charter school. They can use a private school. There's a variety of options for parents. And there's also, because of the world we live in now, there's a lot of digital personalized education that's available to kids that was not available at a reasonable cost. We've been able to scale that up now. So there's a number of private entities that are also offering that K-12 learning experience.
Senator Carla Nelson, always a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, Shannon.